Hi everybody, I'm Amy Brugh. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the brains and muscle behind Amy Brugh Consulting. Welcome to Tips and Tricks for Nonprofits. In today's video, we're going to talk about strategic planning. Okay, so let's talk about strategic planning. Strategic planning is just a way for people, organizations, communities, for that matter, any group, to put together a plan that is based in strategy and has some high-level goals and strategies and actions that will lead you through a specified time period. In all of my planning and facilitation work, including in my strategic planning work, my approach is to use consensus-based and participatory methods. And what that means is I don't just work with a small group of people who think they're going to make all the decisions for the larger group. So all of my planning is based in consensus, where people come together and make decisions together. And I also design planning processes in ways that help people participate, no matter what their learning or participation style is. What I'm going to do next is provide 10 tips on my approach to strategic planning and some of the steps that I include in a strategic planning process. First, get clear on why you need a strategic plan. Don't just do a strategic plan because you think you're supposed to have one. Identify what is the why behind your planning process and let that drive the way that you set up your planning process and the ways that you put together your plan. 2, determine who will be involved in your strategic planning process, where there'll be staff, board, volunteers, community members. So determine first who is going to be involved in your planning process. If you are a nonprofit, your board of directors has to be involved. Strategic planning should start with the board of directors, and I believe very strongly that boards of directors should include their staff and volunteers and community in the planning process. But strategic planning begins with the board. 3, develop a timeline. Every strategic planning process should have a start and finish. I believe that a good strategic planning process should last around 6 months, maybe 9 months. A strategic planning process that goes on for a year or more likely is dragging on because someone's having a hard time making decisions or something gets in the way of the planning process. And a planning process that's only maybe 2 or 3 months might not be long enough to make sure that you're really engaging your community and including people in the planning process. Again, write out that timeline for your strategic planning process and let that guide you through the way that you put your plan together. 4, get outside help. First, I'm a consultant and I do planning work. So of course I think getting outside help might be a good idea, but you don't necessarily need outside help. If you have someone on your board or someone on your staff who has strong planning and facilitation skills and can remain neutral as a part of the planning process, then that's great to use internal resources. But strategic planning is an opportunity for organizations to sometimes utilize the expertise of an external consultant to help facilitate your process and put together your strategic plan. 5, once you have hired outside help to help you with your strategic planning process, I urge you to revisit and readjust your planning process. So you'll want to make sure that anything that you laid out in the beginning, that you've kind of rethought it and that you've included other people's perspectives and made any adjustments to your planning process that might make it go more smoothly or maybe more inclusive of multiple points of views and people. 6, review what already exists. If you already have a strategic plan in place, maybe it's becoming outdated or it's coming up to the end of its time-bound period, make sure you review it carefully. It may still be relevant. Review what exists in terms of work plans or guidance that your board of director has set out for itself. So I usually call this a content review, but take the time to review what already exists. 7, conduct an assessment. The assessment phase is likely my favorite phase of any planning process. In the assessment phase, you take the time to listen carefully to people's perspectives, viewpoints, ideas about your planning process and what your strategic planning process should include, what the strategic plan might look like as an end product, and learn about the ways that people will be best engaged. I usually do an assessment through a combination of methods that might include individual interviews. It may include group interviews. It might include some electronic way for people to fill out a form or a survey. There are lots of exciting new ways to use online methods to include people and to make sure that the assessment includes people that have different ways of communicating and participating. 8, hold planning sessions. Planning sessions are the opportunities for people to come together, review where things are at with the strategic planning process, get the results of the assessment and review those together, and then do things like develop or revisit the organization's mission, vision, and values, create an identity statement for the organization, use your time to create a high-level set of goals and strategies, and perhaps a set of success measures or ways that you're going to evaluate the progress of your strategic plan. Planning sessions can also be an opportunity for people to get to know each other, develop relationships, create some shared norms for the way that you're going to do your work together. Number 9, draft the strategic plan. You'll take all of the work that you've done so far in your strategic planning process and put together a document. That may be something that your consultant helps you write up, and if you've documented your work along the way, that should come together pretty easily. You can also use the help of someone who has some design skills to convey meaning of the strategic plan in different ways, but now's the time to document your work. 10, work the plan. So this is your opportunity to share the strategic plan widely, make sure that everyone has an understanding of what you've laid out in the strategic plan and what your work will be, and then work the plan. Thank you for watching this video about strategic planning and learning more about my approach and the steps to a strategic planning process. I happen to quite like strategic planning, and I hope that you can find a way to like it too. If you like this video, hit like. If you think that this content might be useful to you, please hit subscribe and share these videos with others. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.